So with Jedi Survivor finally releasing on last gen consoles this week, I decided it would be the perfect time to go back and get the Platinum Trophy. Now, Star Wars is always a sensitive subject, and after covering Star Wars Outlaws Platinum Trophy recently, I didn't think I was going to jump back into a Star Wars game so soon, but here we are. Now, for anyone who hasn't Platinum Jedi Survivor, this is going to show you everything you need to do in order to achieve that all too beautiful Platinum Trophy. The Platinum Trophy is a 3 out of 10 difficulty, making for some extremely fun playing time. It only requires one playthrough because everything can go back and be redone after the story, but it does have 53 trophies, including the Platinum. And it comes in at an estimated 50 hours of playtime. However, having finished this game's story twice, I knew I could do it a lot faster than that, so take a journey with me as we dive back in to Platinum Jedi Survivor. Now, as we hop into today's video, just another quick thank you to all the new subscribers. We are now past 200 subscribers, so a huge shout out to everyone that is new on the channel. Also, if you guys enjoy this video and think I should go back and Platinum Jedi Fallen Order, then drop a like on this video, and if we hit 150 likes, I will do that for an upcoming video. Anyways, kicking off our story, we are back playing as Cal Kestis, a Jedi who survived the events of Order 66 and the Jedi Purge. It appears though Cal has been captured and is being taken to a corrupt senator to be arrested. However, the senator overlooks the fact that not only is Cal a Jedi, but he also has friends that can help him escape. BD1, his little droid companion, cuts his cuffs, disables the ship, and thanks to some help from a new character, Cal's friend Bo Dakuna, we are able to escape. Now, the Empire is after us. It is here that we unlock our first trophy for confusing an enemy that defeats an enemy of the same type. Now, this is a new feature in Jedi Survivor that we couldn't do previously, so this is a cool one to get as our first trophy. After clearing our way through the streets of Coruscant to make our escape, we're quickly stopped by Shrek's ugly cousin, the Ninth Sister. You may recognize her from Jedi Fallen Order, and although thought to be dead after we force pushed her off an edge from like 1,000 feet up, she is back, and defeating her unlocks our second trophy in crazy fashion. Now, it's insane to think that Disney went from not allowing dismemberment in Fallen Order to allowing the Ninth Sister's head to roll across our screen in Jedi Survivor, but hey, I'm all for it. We press on and head back to Cal's ship, the Stinger Mantis, and unlock another story trophy for breaking free from the Empire. As we leave, the ship gets damaged and we make an emergency landing on Kobo to look for parts to repair it. Getting our first look at Kobo, and you can immediately tell just how much love and care went into building the environments for this game because it is absolutely stunning. After admiring how beautiful this game is for a minute, we are back in action where I unlock my fourth trophy for parrying an enemy who is resistant to Cal's force pull. Now, Jedi Survivor is full of some really cool creatures, from Rancors to giant dinosaur looking things, to even some smaller cute and cuddly creatures like these boglings. And yes, you can pet them, and it even scores us a trophy while we're at it. Continuing towards our next objective, I came across a prospector who gave me a side mission to investigate some missing colleagues of hers down an old mining shaft. Now, yes, I know what you're thinking, this sounds like a trap, and it most definitely was. Once we head down the mining shaft on this side mission, we find our first legendary creature, the Rancor. Defeating this enemy doesn't give us a trophy, but it's our first of multiple legendary creatures that we have to take out for another trophy later. So it's still worth doing at this point in the story. It's a little bit difficult, so if you haven't played this game before, maybe come back to this fight, but if you know what you're doing, then you shouldn't have any trouble. After defeating the Rancor, we press on to find our old friend Grease, who is apparently running a cantina somewhere on this planet. But before we get there, we run into one of our villains for the game, Ravis, and although we part ways without fighting at this point, there is more to come with him in the story. After sending Ravis on his way, we're finally able to catch up with Grease, unlocking the Grab Some Seat trophy. After some time searching for the ship parts we need to repair the Mantis, we come across an ancient droid named Z. Now, using Cal's special force ability, we are given a vision from the High Republic era of an old Jedi's plan to wipe Z's memory in order to avoid the location of a hidden planet named Tanalor falling into the wrong hands. We find out from Z that there is something hidden in the forest array, so this is our next stop. But not before picking up another trophy for equipping some cosmetic gear in each slot. Nice and easy one. As we reach the forest array, we find a Bacta tank holding Dagan Gera, another Jedi who has been in this Bacta tank since the High Republic era, which ultimately preserved his life until now. After Dagan is released and hears what happens to the Jedi, he is absolutely furious and that they could let this happen to them. he decides to take his anger out on Cal, bleeding his lightsaber and turning to the dark side. This is where we get our first boss fight against Dagangara himself, and after defeating him, he narrowly escapes, with Ravis popping up and taking him away, unlocking our next story related trophy. Now, unfortunately, at this point, I had some technical difficulties as we head to the Shattered Moon and also to Jeddah to meet up with Seer and Merrin. Unfortunately, my recording file corrupted, so I don't have the footage of these segments and unlocking these trophies, but ultimately we got a few story related trophies here, as well as a few extras along the way. These trophies included the This Is Canon for pushing an enemy into the Shattered Mining Cannon, Out of Bedlam for rescuing Z, the High Republic droid, the Skywalker trophy for keeping your feet off the ground and walls for 60 seconds, Roadhouse for dropkicking an enemy while the mullet hairstyle is attached. Yes, that's right, there is a mullet in this game. We also got the For the Path trophy for protecting Pilgrim Sanctuary on Jeddah. We got the Who Gives a Puck for obtaining our first bounty, Among the Masters for meeting the Jedi Masters on Jeddah, They Never Saw It Coming for striking 20 unaware enemies, You've Got a Friend for using 10 companion assists in combat, which is where you can use either Merrin or Bode to basically pin down an enemy so you can have at them. Survivors We Adapt trophy was for traveling with Merrin back to Seer's base on Jeddah, so another story related one. And finally Catch for hitting 3 enemies with a single roller mine. Now, with 19 trophies in the bag, we once again find ourselves chasing after Dagangara to seek out the map to Tanalorr. Upon climbing this huge tower into the sky, we are finally given another chance to take him on, this time finishing him for good. Now, it's funny, I remember playing through this game for my first time a year ago and completing this fight. I thought the game was almost over and I was like, wow, this was quick, but boy was I wrong. I was not ready for what came next, but for now, we have defeated Dagan and unlocked the Tanalorr bound trophy. After retrieving the compass to Tanalorr, we return to Jeddah to get Master Cordova to decipher whatever is on this compass. And that's when the biggest plot twist happened, and I was not ready. If you don't want spoilers, I suggest you click away now, because all of a sudden our friend Bode has his blaster pointed at Master Cordova, and then this happens.
Son, you don't have to do this. No! Master Cordova!
He's dead! Bode has the compass, go after him. Go!
After seeing what Bode did to steal the compass for himself, we're set to chase him down in this epic speeder bike chase. And when we finally catch up to him, this mind-blowing scene happens as well.
Just gonna hand it to the Empire!
I'm not giving it to the Empire.
You killed Master Cordova.
Cal, you don't have time for this fight. Something terrible is coming for that archive. Listen to your instincts. You know I'm right.
What have you done?
If you want to keep your family safe, you get them out of there. Right now.
What have you done? You can't be.
You're not the only one who survived.
After Bode reveals himself as a former Jedi, my mind was blown the first time I played this game. We are forced to lose this fight, but this battle isn't over just yet. As Cal is knocked out and Bode disappears, we flash back to Seer and Merrin trying to hold down the Jedi Archive on Jeddah as the Empire begins to close in. It's this point where we take control of Seer, which was really cool, to defend the Archive, when we actually get a true showing of her strength and her healed connection to the Force, but it wasn't long before he showed up. Yes, that's right, Darth Vader is in Jedi Survivor, and playing as Seer, we get to face him once again, and I absolutely loved this fight. Something about Seer showing her true strength and the fact she gave Vader a run for his money really was such an epic part of this story. But as with everything, all good things must come to an end, and as Seer is ultimately defeated by Vader in the last-ditch effort, as she passes, we unlock our next story trophy, Tragedy. Now, after using a locator beacon to find Bode, we trace him back to an Imperial space station on Nova Garen. And after following him there, we meet his daughter Carter. The whole reason he wanted to steal Tanalorr for himself was to hide her away safe from the Empire, because they had her at risk, which is why he was working as a double agent. After confronting Bode, he manages to escape once again, and in Cal's frustration, he pulls out something I don't think anyone was ready for. Cal goes full dark side and absolutely rips through some stormtroopers, allowing his rage to get the best of him, and it isn't until Merrin stops him in that moment that he is able to calm himself back down. This concerns them both, but for right now, their main focus is catching up to Bode, and we unlock our next story trophy for surviving Nova Garen. Our next story trophy is soon after as we discover the route to Tanalorr, so off we go for our final showdown with the real villain of this story, Bode Akuna. Now, I played this on Jedi Knight difficulty, which is like medium level difficulty, and the final Bode fight still took me a few attempts. I can't imagine what this is like on Grandmaster. The first phase is quite easy, but once you get into the second phase, that is where the fun begins. But eventually, after a few attempts, I was able to defeat Bode, giving us our final story trophy for completing the story. Now, I know you're looking at this with 30 remaining trophies thinking, damn, that's a lot of work left to be done, but I'm here to tell you that you're absolutely right. However, some of these trophies are super easy, so let's knock them out of the way first in our cleanup. My first trophy in the cleanup phase was simple: trade 25 collected items in various shops. You can do this with Doma or Z inside Kobo, as well as a few other places around Jeddah. Next up, Grease took a fat dump in the bathroom, so Cal had to go clean it up, and this gave me another easy trophy for cleaning out the refresher. Following this, I unlocked the kitted out trophy for customizing BD1, as well as my lightsaber and blaster. Trophy number 27 came with riding a Neko for 500 meters. Now, Neko are these creatures that are local to Kobo. Basically, you can jump on them, ride around the map, and it's a little bit, I think that's worth doing at some points during the game. Trophy 28 came from using BD1 to spot an enemy in the distance. This was another super simple one, and I can't believe I hadn't done this earlier. But after this, I returned back to the pit droid from the beginning of the story. Remember when we first crash landed on Kobo? He was on like the initial path that we had to take to get into Kobo. So once we were there, he's got this ship that's stuck in the tar pits. If you use the force lift ability that you didn't have in the beginning, you can now lift his ship out of the tar, and this will grant you the There Is No Try trophy, which is really funny because if you think about it, in Star Wars, when Yoda tells Luke, do or do not, there is no try, he like lifts the X-Wing out of it on, yeah, that's funny. For our next few trophies, we got into some of the combat challenges. Firstly, I unlocked the Pinpoint trophy for executing 10 perfectly timed precision releases. Then we jumped to a Force Tear to unlock the Slam Dunk trophy for slamming 5 enemies simultaneously. Trophy 32 was a bit more difficult as I had to defeat an old foe. Well, sort of. The Spawn of Ogdo is a watered down version of the Ogdo Bogdo fight from Jedi Fallen Order. But don't worry, this isn't even the hardest fight in the game, but we will get to that soon. Beating the Spawn of Ogdo allowed us to find Cal's poncho in a chest, and equipping it gave us another bronze trophy. Stepping away from combat for a minute, I picked up the Cobra Cal trophy for hitting this dummy on Jeddah while wearing a headband, and then climbed to the highest point in Harvest Ridge for the King of the World trophy. After taking out some more enemies, I was finally able to fully upgrade my 3rd skill tree, netting myself the Jedi Path trophy. For this one, check how many abilities each skill tree has, as it can be done faster by selecting the right skill trees to upgrade, but I just went and played through naturally what I wanted to upgrade, so it was a little bit more fun this way, but it can definitely be done quicker if you want it to. Now, with my new skills in hand, I began the Bounty Hunter questline, which is a series of side missions given to you by this character named Cage. She basically sends you out to take out all of the other bounty hunters, and in reward she'll give you bounty pucks, which you can pretty much spend on different things in her shop. Basically, you take out all of these bounty hunters until you're the last one left. This is where Cage betrays us and tries to bring Cal in for a massive reward. That is, of course, before we wipe the floor with her. Upon defeating Cage, we get this epic cameo appearance from none other than Boba Fett himself, and unlock the trophy Cage match for attracting the attention of a mysterious stranger. After defeating Cage, I returned back to clean up the remaining legendary enemies that I hadn't defeated yet, netting myself the Living Legend trophy when defeating the final one. At this point, I returned to my favorite Force Tear as it makes these challenges so easy, and it was here that I was able to unlock trophy number 38 for defeating 50 enemies by slow, trophy 39 for attacking 20 lifted enemies, trophy number 40 for defeating 10 enemies with the point blank skill, and finally trophy 41 for dodging 50 attacks with the focus sight ability. Now, after racing through those combat trophies, we returned to Kobo for probably the most horrifying trophy in the whole game. The trophy named They're Probably Fine is achieved by yeeting one of those Neko mounts I was talking about earlier off a cliff and jumping back to safety with Cal. Something about this trophy is both hilarious and also disturbing, but hey, it's another one off our list, leaving us with 10 more to go for our Platinum Trophy, and I'm sure there's some developers out there that make these trophies laughing at this video right now. My next trophy was for exploring the Fonky Caverns, which had some pretty tough enemies hiding underneath. There was a couple of lightsaber wielding enemies and even another Rancor, and this led to a nice map upgrade on Kobo, as well as another trophy. After exploring the caverns, I ran around the different areas finding Scuba Stev and filling up our aquarium on the Cantina for trophy number 44. After this, I finally filled out the guests in Pyloon's Saloon. Maxing the capacity in the Cantina there got me trophy number 45, and now that the Cantina was full, I planted some seeds on the roof to work on another trophy, and while I waited for them to grow, we headed back downstairs to play some Holo Tactics. Holo Tactics is like a tabletop game that you've seen in episode 4 before, and it's one of those things where you can basically go straight in, pick your character to play against, and go at it with the enemies in your tactical guide. So any enemies that you scanned, you can actually use inside this tabletop game, and it was a lot of fun. It was a nice little breakup from the rest of the gameplay, and something about games inside games always seems to be really interesting to me. Like in Star Wars Outlaws, we had the Sabacc games. I thought they were really fun. Things like that always just change up the gameplay a little bit and give you a nice little break from what you've been doing. And as a trophy hunter, being able to work on a trophy at the same time as doing something different to the main story is always appreciated. Anyways, I was able to beat all the other players in the Cantina, grabbing myself another trophy for this one. And then after beating them, I headed back upstairs and I was immediately rewarded with another trophy for opening up full space in the garden for our plants. This basically happens just by planting enough different seeds throughout the garden on top of Pyloon's Saloon, and then after they grow, it'll open up more space for you, but you do obviously have to have Peely recruited first, which is why we did that other mission earlier. Now, at this point, I had all but one data entry in my tactical guide for the Intergalactic Geographic Trophy, and it turns out the one enemy I was missing was Cage for some reason. So I went back to the spot where we fought her, and she was there, and I was able to fight her again, and luckily this time it registered and the trophy popped. Closing in on the Platinum Trophy, I left completing all the Force Tears until the end. Force Tears include combat challenges and also parkour challenges, and if you think these are going to be easy, think again. In one of the Force Tears, they actually make you take on not only the spawn of Ogdo again, so if you struggle with that, you're in trouble, because they actually put Ogdo Bogdo himself in at the same time. That's just sick, if you ask me. Making you fight two of these things at the same time when fighting one of them is hard enough as it is. I know there's a developer out there somewhere laughing at the pain that they brought people in this Force Tear, but eventually we completed them and got the Blood, Sweat, and Tears trophy for our efforts. Now, much like the Force Tears, we also had the Star Tours trophy for completing all the Jedi chambers, which are extremely confusing and difficult puzzles. I will admit though, I used guides for a few of these because I absolutely despise puzzles in video games. I'm not good at them, they take me forever, and I just end up getting really frustrated. So anytime there's a guide for a puzzle, I am all for it, especially these ones which are a little bit more extensive than just your general gaming puzzles. Now, with 2 trophies left, there came the annoying collectible. With 100 pieces of priorite scattered throughout the game, I had only around 50 at this point. So I went off and spent countless hours collecting the rest of the pieces to come back for one last one. That is that the Neko decided to conveniently shit out in the stables. Now, to get it to do this, you need to have one of the bright colored Neko. I tried a few different ones before this purple one worked for me. So if it's not working for you and you still have that one to get, try the purple one, stick it in the stables, go rest at your next meditation point, and then come back and the shard should be able to be force lifted out. Finally, it was out to Doma's shop to claim my trophy by purchasing everything in there, which is what we needed the priorite shards for in the first place. And lastly, we had to find and unlock all 10 perk slots and equip a perk in each of these slots, and then finally the Platinum Trophy was mine. Now, Jedi Survivor was a wild ride. I absolutely adore this game, from the visuals to the combat, and even the story had my jaw on the floor at times. If you're considering playing this game and even getting the platinum for it, I would 100% recommend it, as it is one of the most fun platinums I have done to date. Now, if you're gonna do it, I will say to you, try and pick up as many of the priorite shards along the way. That was probably the most tedious and time-consuming trophy that we had towards the end. So if you are going around the map, make sure you do your exploring, find these things, because it did end up taking me a lot longer than it should have. I clocked this platinum trophy at 42 hours versus the 50 that it is suggested. So it was still quicker, but I think I could have gotten it in under 40 if I was grabbing priorite shards along the way. But silly me decided to leave them towards the end. Now, if you like these type of videos, there are plenty more on the channel, so I will pop them up on screen for you now. Feel free to check them out, subscribe if you guys are new, and I will see you all in the next video.